Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment, and we're going to get into the community messages. There's so much to actually go through. So, morning, all, and Marv. Thank you very much, Annette. Good morning to you, sweetheart. Hope you're well. Roy says, very good point, Marvin, about Debbie not wanting MWT involved in the case of inconsistencies in the story. I think what we gotta, I mean, I was the one who had a lot of questions for MWT, but like I said, I think he got a lot of the answers straight away that this case is drug related, and I think he was told to step down by the other side and the police. This is what I think. Thank you, Roy. Dawn says, hi, Marvin. I agree the case should be reopened. Break the Ice did a good video the other day, and yet again, more questions to this case. Keep going, Marvin. Thank you very much. I thought Break the Ice and Peter Folding have actually come up with some great stuff there. And Peter Folding knows that is something not quite right, and he is the expert, and he was made out to be a mug, to be honest with you. Ian says, Xmas come early that Eslo was in a picture in one of the clubs in that vest. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ian, it makes you think cover up all the way. The picture is like Christmas come early. Why would Tom be away from all his mates on an island, especially where there's a big rave? I did look at Facebook profiles and saw a comment on the post, and Tom's uncle commented something about words of a song from Eminem album with either song track 3 or 6, can't remember. It was like he was referring to something which the comment didn't really go with the post, was going to look at the lyrics to those songs, but forgot to. Interesting, Tina Goonigal. There's something in this, and I think a lot of people pointed that out in the early day. Thank you very much for that. Patriot, I'm sure they said this picture was in a beer garden in the UK. It was earlier a picture that reposted on the J went missing. The picture was taken in a beer garden of a pub after the funeral of the boy who apparently had a motorbike crash. I clicked on the Facebook page of Stephen Lowe's stepdaughter, and there was lots of pictures of the boy's funeral, as Stephen's stepdaughter was the same age as them all. I do believe Stephen's wife and stepdaughter are completely innocent and didn't know what Stephen's been involved in. Stephen Lowe's stepdaughter was generally upset about the boy who died on the motorbike. Yeah, and that was obviously something to do, apparently, with what happened to Tom H. People do think there's a connection there. Brilliant message, British Patriot. Thank you. Sam Walker, I've always thought it was something to do with Tom and still do. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me because, like I said, there's no real proof that he was there. Because, like I said, people can manipulate pictures, and people can actually put him on on the scene. But like I said, nothing surprises me in this case, and that has been one of the biggest points from day one. Julie goes, yes, I believe this case should be looked at independently for many reasons. Too many unanswered questions. Yeah, I agree, Julie. It's very, very, very odd that the island has been excavated and changed a little bit so that it would maybe show maybe different images now. If basically Peter Folding was able to dive again in there, it's pretty odd that it's been messed around with there. Who knows? But like I said, I think Peter Folding is smart enough to think cover up. Pinky Pub, it does seem odd, and so many of the people Tom H seems to hang out with were at energy and hanging around with characters involved, but he was not there. Something sinister about the Three Monkeys pictures I made. There is somebody who looks very similar to him in the Coles Plays video. Of course, we do not know if this was an attempt to edit this in or out of what was occurring on the strip. I agree, Pinky Pup, because like I said, I did have the original video and put it up, and there were definitely faces that were involved in the Jay Slater case that were in that video. And this is why he didn't want me, he asked me technically to remove it and basically don't edit it. Spanish auguries say they spoke to the two B&B men and took their details. Rocky said he never spoke to any police and told the people tracing him for an inquest he did not know Jay. On paper, he seems to indicate it was not him, perhaps. Why this has not been seen as a serious red flag, I do not know. As for all anyone knows, at this stage, it could have been somebody on the run or somebody with a history of throwing people off a cliff edge. Yeah. I mean, don't forget, Pinky Pup, there were some dangerous people basically out in Tenerife at that time and actually bought up as well. And that was out there the same time as Jay Slater. So that doesn't surprise me if we know the connections in this case and the names that's been mentioned since day one. Great points, Pinky Pub. Thank you. Serendipity. I still think it's a possibility that Jay was injured, spied, and taken to Masca, where everyone was waiting for him. That large old shed adjacent to the Airbnb. Yeah, really good point. Once again, Serendipity, nothing surprises me in this case, dear. It wouldn't surprise me, but I think if he did go to Masca, he wasn't alive. I truly do think that. Or badly injured. You know, there's a possibility, but we can't not write anything off in this case. But like I said, something definitely happened to him on the beach. I'd always go with that. After that, Baruba, possibly, because like I said, there's a possibility it was taken by boat, because like I said, would they really want a dead body basically in a car traveling to Mascot at that time in the morning? Makes you think, doesn't it? British Patriot, but bet you if the police bothered to check, they found out Stephen went away to Magaluf with Tom on Father's Day, 14th of June. Stephen's stepdaughter tagged him in a Father's Day post about him being the best stepdad, but in the way she was talking was like if Stephen was away, saying, see you when you're home, but Stephen said he was taking Tom away for Father's Day, as it was Tom's first Father's Day after his dad's passing. I believe he was definitely in Magaluf. I do believe that, British Patriot, what I've heard as well. Who's who? I'm all for more regulations on platforms. Big difference between discussing the info given from the people involved and the info posted deliberately false. At one point, I wondered if someone involved was leaking false info to distract everyone. It is not fantastical sometimes. Yeah, it is weird. This obviously Josh Forshaw about the watch. I do think he was in on it to basically set a narrative that someone did take a watch. I think it was a blag. I don't think, no, I'm with Wax on this one. I don't think anybody took a Wax. I think Josh Forshaw was working for the other side. I truly believe that. And that's one of the reasons why he's not come out again and really said anything, even though people got a lot of questions for him. Don't forget, you look close to the faces of this picture. Some of them are photoshopped, and that's how we know it's Tom Hilton, because other videos and stuff were photoshopped. Look close at that family picture. He's took the face and overlapped it on some of them. Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely been manipulated. Alison, well said. Caroline says some parents do turn a blind eye on what their kids get up to. Some parents more interested in themselves and their own lives. And then when things go wrong, they will blame others. It's always someone else's fault, IMO. Yeah, because like I said, the thing is though, Caroline, when you're getting paid and things are good and rosy, it's easy to turn against the people who were trying to help you or were trying to get justice for your son, for Jay. If they were Jay's friends, why are the police trying to locate them? Debbie through Rach could locate them both, Lucy and Brandon, in 5 minutes. 100%. Yeah, 100%. And they didn't want to come. They blamed us, the sleuths, that, this is going to get out. But if they all attended or said something early, we wouldn't be in this position talking about the case. This is why, because they weren't called out. We were called out, but they were never called out. Your Brandons, your Rockies, Ayub, Lucy, Brad, they weren't called out. And like I said, and they've got away with one. Strange, very strange. Called Tabba, I think, and always on the outside. Remark makes me think Jay was really on the outside. Yeah, Joy, very, very, very interesting. And obviously this Tabba, okay, is very, very well connected, it seems like to me, and well known. And he come up a lot in the early days as well. Christine says nothing adds up. Why did Lucy set up a GoFundMe the day Jay went missing? If they think he was just wandered off, surely she would have at least waited a few days. Also, Marvin, the majority of people think Jay was murdered. Let's find out why. If it was because he couldn't get Hodges £200 killing him, wouldn't get the money. No, it wouldn't. I think it's bigger than that, Christine. I really, really do. I mean, Wax has said, people get killed for less than that. That's possibly true. But like I said, if they were all putting money into Jay's account, and Jay's account, should I say, it could amount to maybe a few thousand. And like I said, because his account got blocked, or you don't know, we don't know, or was Brandon and Lucy on the take and taking their cut as well, being greedy? These things happen, people. Young people sometimes get greedy, and it could cost people's lives. PGM, if there was 70 calls made on the night he went missing and the police forensic had his phone, did they investigate who the calls were to cause that hell of a lot of calls, especially with 1% battery and being in the state they say he was? Yeah, that's a really good point, PGM. A really good time. That's never been questioned. There's too many things in this case that, I just don't like. I don't like. And it does seem like to me, Debbie have forgotten what she said in the early days about Lucy and about Brandon at the end of the day. And she wished that they'd contacted her early. There's not enough conversation about that. And it just seems to me, it's just a narrative that we're talking about as case that technically to them doesn't exist anymore, which is really, really odd. Think of a time to drop all of this now and let Jay rest in peace. No foul play can be proved, and this is no evidence, and theirs won't be without CTV eyewitness. Nothing can be done, hence verdict, accident of death. Unfortunately, it's one of those cases that only the deceased know what happened, never. I don't know, Tracy. I think if you look at the underworld, I think there's a lot of people who do know what happened to Jay. And like I said, if you're watching my earlier video, Joseph Maris, Wax's, Duncan's, it's plain to see that there's foul play. And if these people do come up again and someone else goes missing in the same way, then people are going to say, look, we should have kept talking about this case. Do you know what I mean? Because we know there's dodgy dealings in this case. Yeah, we can't prove it, but what we can do is protect the next person that do go out there against these people. Bad Pierogies, if Jay hits his head on a rock, there would be evidence of that blood on the rack, etc. Did they do a forensic investigations in that ravine? Really good point. I think all the messages are up to date now. Make sure, I've got one from Serendipity. It is all dodgy. I'm sure TH was seen at the Energy on a video somewhere. I quite like some of Joseph Morris's take on the case. Good points, Marvin. Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. Serendipity in the early days, but like I said, he was threatened as well. Who says there's charities that could use a cash injection to promote them? Yeah, that's a really good point. A good point. It's like I said, they are stuff we still don't know about. Jay's other body parts being sent back to the UK. Nothing said about that. Nothing said about, like I said, where the rest of the GoFund money is going, at least out to the public, the ones that actually put money in. Uzu, thank you. Annette, thank you very much. Pinky Pup, Caroline, Serendipity, Roy, thank you very much. Brilliant message, Pinky Pup, Mazda, Cynthia Williams, Looney Tune. If dolphins were monkeys, I love that one. Sandra, Mark Warren, brilliant message. Tina Goonagirl, thank you for your input. Colin, brilliant. MJ4D3Y. I had my mum watch the documentary and I left crying and angry. Yeah, because there's just so much. I mean, you've got to look at it as there's just too much information, which just feels very uncomfortable just to say it was an accident. And I just couldn't say it, even though we know that part of the case is put to bed. Much like Duncan said, like I said, there's so many of these people stood in the rugs game you're going to hear one of them's been arrested or pulled in for something soon. It's just a matter of time because they just can't help themselves, people. Izzy, great messages. Julie, thank you. Annette, Bad Pierogies, thank you. Tracy, Atlantic Blue, PJM, brilliant messages. Christine, nice to hear from you. Joy Wing, brilliant. K-Dunks, keep going, my friend. Caroline, Alison, Uzu, British Patriot, great messages. Sam to Pity, lovely to hear from you. Pinky Pup, brilliant as usual. Well, you know, in tuned to the case and what's going on. Julie Gooch, and British Patriots. Tina Goonagirl, thank you. Ian, Dawn Williamson, been with me a long time. Roy, brilliant points. Annette, let's keep going on this. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and follow the channel. Appreciate you all. Thank you.